In today's video, we are going to be discussing how to play a good heavy D throw. Stay tuned. Well, hello, I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident piper. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking the video, subscribing below, hitting even that bell icon, all that kind of stuff. But for now, let's get on with it. All right, the heavy D throw. It's one of the signature sounds of the Highland bagpipe. It just has this great brah. It's the thing that kind of gives a musical instrument a Scottish accent, if you will. It's just so powerful and lovely and fun to play. Now, I've seen lots of different worksheets and exercises trying to build a heavy D throw, and I thought I would show you guys how I go about teaching it to my students. The thing about a heavy D throw is there are two low Gs in it, not one. It's written like every other D throw with a G, a D, and a C to a final D, but there is a second low G in there. Now, most other methods that teach this teach it as a grip with two even length low Gs to a C and then a lift to a D. I attempted this for a good long time when I was learning, and it never developed into something that sounded like a good D throw that I hear from all of the best players around. In kind of analyzing the D throw and really taking some time with it, what I came onto, and what works in my opinion, is to think about the second low G more as a crossing noise than an actual grace note. So if you're on a low G, you're going to lift your D grace note, so just the one finger, and then you're going to get a crossing noise up to C before you lift to that D. And again. Notice that second low G, that cross, is just a real quick little click in there. But it's that little click that gives you that nice brah kind of sound to make the heavy D throw nice and thick. Down below, I have a downloadable PDF of my exercises I use to teach the heavy D throw. Now on this, I'm going to use the notation system I came up with last time for my ultimate 1-minute warm-up, which I'll have linked in a card somewhere around here. But in this, you're going to see there are some notes with triangle note heads. Now that is a note that I want to lift just the single finger for that note, not the whole normal amount of fingers. So in this case, they're going to be all the Ds. So rather than a D, I want just a D grace note. But we're going to be holding it for a certain amount of time, whatever time is shown, either a quarter note or an eighth note or even a 16th note before we finally incorporate it into a full normal heavy D throw. The other thing I want to point out is there are some X's written for the note heads of a few grace notes, and those are the low Gs that are the crossing noise between that D grace note and that C. So again, rather than it being the normal D grace note up and nice clean switch down, where right before that comes down these lift, what we're going to want to do is actually make sure we get just the tiniest little click. We don't want a big old press and lift. Not this. No, I want... See, it's just click, click. I'm going to play the first part of this exercise. I am going to set this to 90, turn it on, and we're going to play through it. You're going to see that the D grace note is going to be held for one full beat as I then get that crossing noise to the C. And you're going to want to practice it at that speed and no faster until you have a good, reliable crossing noise. Yes, I'm telling you to purposely stick a crossing noise in. I know that has to feel kind of weird. But until you get a good, consistent, tiny little, even crossing noise from that D grace note to the C, keep it on that first part of the exercise. In the next one, we're going to speed the whole thing up, and you're going to start hearing a little bit more of the cadence of a D throw as we go through it. And you can notice the D grace note, when it's up by itself on many chanters, is kind of a weak sounding note. I have another chanter where it's actually super clear. I chose to use this chanter because that D grace note, having that kind of weaker sound, makes it clear that I'm not fingering a good, solid, proper D. Now, if on your chanter, your D grace note with that finger up has a nice clear sound, that's awesome, good for you. If it sounds kind of weak like many chanters are going to, not a problem, just keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna move on. When you can do the second stage of this exercise well, with those even crossing noises between the D grace note and the C, let's move on to the third one. And again, that feel of a heavy D throw is gonna be becoming much, much more clear as it speeds up. And there we go. Now you're really starting to get the feel of the whole thing. I would probably stay on this level until you can do this a couple days in a row before I would try to just play nice, big, full, heavy D throws. In the bottom one, you'll see they're almost written like normal D throws. I did choose to continue using the triangle, but now it's on a D grace note. There's nothing different about this grace note except to indicate that it really is still just a one finger and not like a light D throw where it'd be the full normal D. For the heavy D throw, it is still, of course, just that grace note. And I did include the crossing noise with the X head so you could see where it falls in the embellishment. But for all intents and purposes, these are regular D throws. Also, as written on the sheet, remember, when it's written normally, the entire embellishment is after the bar line. That being said, be aware the low G of a D throw is subtracted from the note before it. So in this case, we're starting on a low A, going to a heavy D throw. That low G is going to come off of the A. You're going to be hitting that D grace note to crossing noise to C. All of that's right on the beat. That downbeat is right there and the low G is before it. All right, let's play through this one. All right, let's talk just real quick about some of the things that can go wrong with a D throw, especially as you start getting them quicker and quicker. The biggest thing I hear in D throws when they're not played well is that initial low G ends up being either wimpy or not present. You definitely want to hear that low G. I don't want to necessarily dig in for like a full 16th note value. It can start one sounding a little bit more like a light D throw, and it can start getting in the way of the music. But you definitely want to make sure you get good, solid closure to that low G before the D grace note fires, or it's just not going to have a good sound. There's not much to those, and it doesn't have that bite and that rah that a good D throw can have. So make sure to establish that low G. Low G first, everything else second. The other thing, just to keep in mind, and I already mentioned it, make sure you get into the low G right before the beat, not on the beat. But at the same point, don't make the whole embellishment fall before the beat. The D throw is one of these great embellishments because it's a kind of an across the beat. It starts before the beat and then goes through the beat and even after. Brah, it's a big full sound. Give it enough time that you can hear all of the nice little bits in it, and you'll have a better, stronger sounding tune for it. Well, all right, guys, I hope you got some use out of this. I hope this helps you build some really, really nice heavy D throws, some great exercises where you can work them up slowly and gradually increase the speed to have a good, meaty brah of a D throw. So if you got some value out of this, please consider liking the video, subscribing below, maybe even heading to my Patreon, where a small monthly donation goes an awfully long way to helping me make videos like this. And and please think about sharing this with any pipers you know that might not have the best D throws and you want to help them improve them. All right, guys, my name is Matt Willis, and until next time, cheers.